Didn't hear that one.
When they're napping.
Nope.
They have to be within
That pack and play should be right there.
Yep.
Once they're 12 months, then they can be like in an adjacent room, but checked on frequently. But
What generally happens is they're upstairs, and it's
Or they're in
really
the
difficult to
provider's
check on them
bedroom.
upstairs when you're downstairs with all the other kids, so we don't see a lot of good supervision. And sometimes we go outside while the baby's asleep upstairs.
So they just can't do that, just
Makes
take the
me
baby outside with
crazy.
you.
So,
Just take the sleeping baby outside, is that what you would do?
either that
I
or
don't know, I
time your
might just
schedule.
adjust my schedule and go out.
Because
when
the baby
was
needs
up.
fresh air.
Mhm.
They have a lot of flexibility is the thing. They don't have their special playground time.
Right.
They can kind of go out later, they can come in later to meet the children's needs. So they are fortunate where they have that flexibility. So if the baby falls asleep early, oh, well, I guess we'll go outside in a little while when baby wakes up.
And how about when we're 12 months, can the kids all be outside in one, at a glance always, right?
Toddlers don't have to be within your direct line of sight, but you need to be able to hear them, and so if you're outside,
So it's the-
it's gonna be a problem, so.
Any other questions on supervision? It's a big one.
Bathroom breaks, I mean, if the preschoolers are in the bathroom by themselves going, that's okay. Not like centers where you have to witness the flush of the toilet, make sure that the toilets are flushed and the hands are washed.
Well, aren't they gonna wanna watch that?
It's more, I mean, we're watching those things to make sure children aren't doing inappropriate things and that they're having good sanitary practices. So you're
But
still
they're
gonna
in there
want,
and
in
they're
general,
Yeah.
to know that they're doing those things correctly. What I find really in homes though is that they're usually pretty keyed in to the kids in the bathroom.
Because it's a fun party.
Yeah.
One goes, they
It's
all
their
go.
home, so they know, so they don't want kids playing in their bathroom, because then they have to clean up that mess, so, they're generally pretty keyed into the kids going to the bathroom. And a lot of times they're going down the hall with them, or standing there and at least listening for them, so.
So, well, I'm probably jumping ahead, but go ahead, go and tell my question.
So
I was
also,
thinking bathrooms.
also we'll talk about, the phrase usually comes up when we're talking about this tool. Usually means 75% of the time. Remember, you're there for a 3-hour observation. Same thing comes up as far as weather temperature, when the children should be outside, and then the weather permitting. Same thing, it's not any different. 20 to 90, they should get some outside time. Fine? All right, space and furnishings. Again, we're talking about ample space. When you're considering ample space, consider all the spaces that the children are able to play. You'll kind of get an idea once you're there for a little bit to see where the children can play. Sometimes places you think they can go, they're not allowed to go. Other times they're going to places you're like, oh, I didn't know they could use that room. So follow their lead. I spent a lot of time in the homes initially just kind of watching what's going on so I can kind of get a feel for where the kids are, what's going on next, where I need to go, that kind of thing, so.
But if they're using like a basement room that feels small, they won't get ample.
Well, you'll be able to tell because you'll see them using those spaces, so you'll be able to tell if it's crowded after you've paid attention for a little bit of the observation. You'll be able to see how the flow is, how children move in the space, when they take the materials out. A lot of times, you know, it's the same thing you see in programs. They take the dramatic play items out and everything is very crowded and they're tripping over each other and there's no room. Then that's pretty obvious. And blocks are always problematic in a home. They generally don't have enough space for blocks out of the way. So you'll see that a lot. And a lot of times they're using a smaller space and they have multiple activities that share that main carpet area. So you'll know pretty quickly whether there's enough space or not. But sometimes you'll be in a program and they've only got maybe 3 kids enrolled and they've got plenty of room.
Yep.
So.
So again, if 2 or more areas are crowded, then you'll mark ample, and you might see that too with the situation if they're upstairs for a little bit and then downstairs, or just depending on what the situation is.
And always consider if they have those school agers, what would happen if I put school agers in this space? Because the school agers come back, so.
Just say no to school
So do you
agers.
ask
Just say no to school agers. That's what I said.
It's the
No.
transportation
If you
issue.
don't observe the school agers there, you still consider it an ample
You
space,
consider
knowing that they
everybody
will
who's
be there
enrolled.
later.
Everybody who's enrolled.
So-
It's just like the furnishings and things like that. You're gonna look for furnishings for the toddlers and preschoolers, but you're also gonna say, hey, when the school agers come back, is there a chair they can sit comfortably in? You know, those kinds of things. So we're always gonna consider all the children that are enrolled.
So for furniture, for care and play and learning, yes, children do need their own cubbies. In a home.
In a home.
They need their own space. They're there all day.
What if your siblings?
What if they are siblings?
What happens then? Your siblings will share everything. We live together, what's the problem?
They still need their own space.
I think you need even more.
You would think,
It is.
this is their place to roam free, right?
Yeah.
So I had brought, I mean, this will just bring, I had a provider say to me, I don't understand why they have, their stuff can't touch, but yet they use the same dress-up stuff over and over and over again.
We have an answer for that.
You do, what's the answer?
Well, so the thought is that the provider is taking the precautions to sanitize and clean the dress-up clothes on the
And they
kids.
only
right?
stay in her house. But when kids come and go, they go where?
You don't know
And
where.
there and everywhere, you don't know where they've been. But your dress-up clothes stay in your home. And potentially you're laundering them, taking care of them. Does that make sense?
Well, that's kind of what I said, but I just wanted to hear what your response was. 'cause
So
That was
see,
a
you
curious
knew already.
argument. You probably knew that, right?
People ask us all that stuff all the time.
Yeah. I'm like,
I don't understand. Well, what about this? What does that make it go
then?
That's right.
because again, if we're talking ample space for cubbies, a lot of homes don't have a lot of space that actually.
They're pretty creative, the home providers I've seen. They've gotten those like stacking cubes that have the individual things.
Yep.
Their
I see a
stuff all
lot of
fits in
those.
there.
Yep.
It still blends in with their home look. It doesn't deter it, so I've seen it all in homes. I've seen those that says in here laundry baskets, just an individual space where everyone can put their things, so that's what they do. Alright. Furniture to promote self-help, well, we didn't talk about this in the last children call. So there needs to be provisions for children to be able to provide self-help in routines and in play. So we would hope that there would maybe be a step stool at the sink for those that can't quite reach. And of course, low shelves and low tables and chairs for them for their play. Provisions for relaxation and comfort. There needs to be many soft toys. Gives you the requirement right here. They don't all have to be stuffed animals. They can be finger puppets, beanie babies, dolls, puppets. There's many soft toys. Display for children. We would like to see children's artwork displayed in the home. That's where they spend their time during the day. And I think it's at the 5 level, there needs to be at least 2 pieces of artwork for a child enrolled that's over the age of 1. So we will do a name to match of the work. The school agers should be represented too. And then we want to see also that the provider is talking about the display materials. That's similar to the IGERS tool.
Personal care, reading and departing, same thing, sharing information with parents. You may not see it, so you might have to ask those questions. And then nap and rest, pretty much the same. Caring for our children, recommendations. They still expect the spacing to be the 3 feet, which is usually easier to meet in homes.
So if you see someone, they tell you, because you may not observe a nap time, if they say, oh, well, this room doesn't fit 3 feet now, but I moved this table or I moved this thing, you, I mean, how, in other words, if you don't actually observe that, then how do you know that they do it? Or
You can ask them and then you go off their response.
can they nap
Say,
under
where do they
tables?
sleep?
Under tables?
Well, if it's a small space, this is a question came up, like the mat just might be under the table.
But honey, what do you do if the two kids sleep on the spare bed?
Yeah, what about that?
Or they sleep on the couches?
Oh, no, they do sometimes sleep on the couches. There is that.
So they have to have sheets.
Look at her face.
They do.
They really, you go into homes and they say
Yes,
the kids
ma'am.
sleep
Yeah.
on the couch?
And
Uh-huh.
I've seen, yeah.
It's not even a spare bed.
Right.
It's somebody's bed.
Right,
Yep.
it's somebody's
Yeah.
bed.
So
They
they do,
sleep on the family members' beds?
Yeah.
so if they put down
And
a
they
clean
think that's
sheet.
okay?
Yeah.
I'm a home, I was a home.
I know, watching her face. We
If
found
they
her
put
hot
down a
bed.
clean sheet on the bed or the sofa, does that count?
But the thing is, so, let's say it's a clean sheet, but it's a porous, so, you know, things can go through. And let's say the person that sat there before happened to be out in the garden, sitting in the peat moss and potting soil, and then they sat there. So what is that child getting?
Yeah.
Your husband coughed on that seat cushion all last night. and,
Or who knows what?
you know,
It isn't the best.
Or if the child pees on your couch or your
Yes.
family member's bed.
Yeah, then what?
I mean, go both ways.
Right.
So.
I'm sorry, I never ever did that.
So we're gonna talk about best practices. We're gonna do a little bit of
That would not be one of them.
informational things. We're gonna talk to providers about different things that could happen and how would they feel about that, and what we can do to meet those requirements differently.
So homes that are operating at the highest level, they have mats or cots for the children, and they bring them out and they sleep. Or they have individual pack and plays for even the toddlers, and that's okay.
Right.
Spaced 3 feet apart, but it's always Johnny's pack and play, he's the only one that sleeps there, and it's always right there, whatever she says.
So will you ask them, like, if
Of
there's
course.
more than one infant that uses it? That's important.
Yeah, and we look at the spaces they use, because sometimes they'll put them in the pack and play, but they're in a bedroom. And so we want to look at that general space to see, because what's dangerous in there. So we're going to look for some safety things, just in general.
And then it does reiterate right here, provider needs to be alert and visually supervise infants at all times, sleeping and awake. Toddlers and preschoolers can be heard if they're visually checked periodically. And again, the use of a monitor, whether it be visual or just auditory, is not acceptable.
So at different levels of the house, they're checked on?
So sometimes we do that. We ask the provider, so what are you doing while the children are sleeping? That's usually what I say. Oh, I'm down here doing the dishes, and sometimes I'll get the projects ready. If there is no once mention of, I go check on the kids, they don't get credit for that.
And a lot of them will tell you, I just run up and down every 10 minutes or so and check
Some
on
do.
them, and then I do this, but some of them just, nope, they sleep up there, I do this, and then when we get up, this is what we do.
And some of them will leave when we're doing the questioning, it's about a half an hour. They'll say, I need to go check on the kids. I'm like, please go right ahead,
Yeah.
go do that. Because then I know that that is their practice. But others just aren't even aware of that at all. Others, the children are sleeping right in the area, so every situation's different.
So, have you ever, and I'm sure you have, because I know you guys have seen everything. But,
Not yet.
That's true. So, I have a home provider, she has a sleep room, and it's off to the side, and she's got them all marked out, you know, the 3 feet apart. And so, that is the sleep room, and each kid has their own space, kind of thing. And so, my concern is like, gosh, okay, that's great, it's a sleep room, but, you know, she's gotta go be checking on them. And it is actually a separate room. It's not, I mean, you have to go through a door to get to it.
It's okay to
So-
have the separate room, but she does need to check on them.
Okay.
And does she have infants in there?
No,
And if- Yeah,
Okay.
if there were
No,
infants, then that wouldn't be okay.
right, okay,
Yeah.
It would have to come out.
okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking about, I was like,
I'm sure in her head, she thinks that's a good use of space.
Right.
For me, I would have made it a couple interest centers and then brought their mats out in the middle of but that's,
I know, that's what's kind
See?
of bothering me. I'm like, it's dedicated sleep room all the time.
right.
Right.
But
Mhm.
every time I go, I mean, it's always set up.
Mhm.
That's how it is.
Mhm. So that's her control issue, so you just kind of
Yeah,
let it
sometimes it works
go.
better.
Yeah, you gotta let it go.
Yeah.
It's her philosophy, not yours, so. Mhm. Yeah,
She's got some.
yep. Yes, they do.
All kinds of fun stuff.
All right, so drop side cribs, crib requirements still the same.
Just check with them, because not all of them got rid of their cribs.
Now, what about homes can still use pack and plays? If they're doing the rating, do they need to have cribs? They can still use pack and play.
Yep.
So meals and snacks. Can we use microwaves?
No,
Julie?
I'm sure they do.
I've seen some really diligent not to use that microwave, and I've seen others that just pop it all in there. So, yeah.
What's the reason for that?
So microwaves tend to heat foods unevenly,
Oh, okay.
and you can have really hot spots and really not hot spots. And young children especially can't distinguish if things are too hot once it's too late. Hand washing, we all know when they're supposed to hand wash, same practices. Table sanitation, that also includes high chair tops, which I don't know that we specifically pointed that out for the ITERS tool. High chair tops need to be sanitized in the same manner as a tabletop.
Can I do that in the morning and then?
But only if you don't touch it.
Nobody's gonna go in the kitchen.
They're not gonna touch it.
No, I don't think anybody will go in there, I don't think so.
Has to be done immediately before the meal
Before the meal.
and after.
Without the child sitting in it.
Preferably.
Yes, preferably.
Preferably.
Let me just spray this stuff right here.
Don't touch it, don't
Don't
touch it.
breathe right now.
My child smelled like bleach when I picked him up.
Yeah, they have white spots all
Fully
over there.
sanitized. When children are outside playing, they come in, wash their hands, and they look at books and then go and eat without re-washing their hands. They have,
Have them
Mhm.
come in, yeah, I would not.
They should either do it again or somehow alleviate the books. Send them to the tables, send them to the tables to start setting the tables, someone get the cups, someone get the forks, someone get
So
the
they can
napkins.
They can touch cups and forks, just nothing else.
No, I said, so
No.
after they wash their hands, they can go start preparing the stuff for the meal, so avoid the whole book stage. Because if they do books, then they have to hand wash before they go to the
But they can
table.
touch the cups and.
Of course.
Their hands are clean.
Mhm.
They should
Cups
be
hopefully
healthy.
were clean.
It's a lot easier if they help. I think.
So how long do I have to leave the bleach on the table?
Depends on the strength of the bleach or the kind of bleach.
Oh, they're
Do
gonna
you
learn
have
something
to
today.
read the label? Is that what you have to do?
Yep,
Good job.
very nice. Toileting and diapering, we talked about
I have a
that.
thing about disinfecting.
Hmm?
Uh-huh.
So for homes, they can't do kids after they use the potty, if they wash their hands in a sink at a center, they have to disinfect the sink that they might also use to wash hands before meals, right?
If they're getting ready for
If
another
they're having-
routine,
Right.
so usually like the potting routine is done at once, then they'll do something else, then they're usually getting ready for another group routine of meals, then yes, that sink, if it's the same sink, the sink needs to get cleaned and sanitized, or cleaned and disinfected before they move
And is
on.
that the same for homes too?
Yes.
Why would it be different?
I thought it shouldn't be, but.
It's not.
It's the same.
It's the same.
So if you see, after, basically what the routine would probably, right before a meal, she sanitizes the hand washing sink.
Yep.
Because you don't know what happened during the day.
And they usually don't have the luxury at all to have two separate
Have to,
sinks.
yeah.
That's
If
really
they're
a
lucky,
luxury
then
for a
that's
home.
great.
Mhm. Yep,
Just have them make sure all the kids have gone potty and then have them do, so that way they can go ahead and disinfect and then have everybody wash their hands. So you have that.
Yeah, I have a question about disinfecting diaper changing. Do Clorox wipes count?
they do not.
Like mine at home say they're bleach free, so I was like, I didn't think they count.
Yeah.
But she said that they.
They're bleach free,
Mine are. Yeah, the Clorox wipes say does not contain bleach.
but still, they don't necessarily disinfect though.
Right.
And also, if you
So
read,
for cleaning, the diaper changing, it does that.
no. Also, and this really, I don't think we brought this up in the other session since you've been with us, that it needs to have an EPA number on it.
It does have an EPA number on it.
Really?
That's what she said, that the health department cleared it up.
There is a list of approved things from the health department, so you can download that and see what it is. So they may have some kind of a wipe on there, but in general, wipes don't usually count. But if it met all of those requirements that the health department have them jump through the hoops to me, then it would be okay. We just don't generally see it.
Mm-mm.
Usually they're the regular wipes that everybody uses for everything, so.
Right, I'm pretty sure there's regular standard Clorox wipes that you buy at the store. I mean, it does have the EPA number on there. She says the health department said it was all right, but I still,
Mhm.
Yeah, you can download that list.
Now, doesn't the EPA number guarantee that it does what it says on its label?
I think so.
It does.
So if it says it disinfects and it has an EPA number, you would think that it does what it says.
Are the Oxidar wipes on that list?
They may be,
Yeah.
I haven't seen those used.
I haven't either.
I usually just see Oxabear
Spray.
spray,
Right.
but if there is a list, and some of them are wipes, we just never see them used,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, I've never seen the Oxabear wipes used in anywhere, in a center or home, but,
Yeah, I don't know what, it seems like those wouldn't be very cost effective,
right.
so that may be the case.
Exactly.
If it was me, I'd buy bleach.
Mhm.
But, yeah, I think it probably could need it. We just don't see it.
Mhm. Right. So again, the challenge for the providers is all the safety concerns that can be in the home. Anywhere that the children have access to in the home are areas that will be checked by the assessor.
Refrigerators?
If they're in the kitchen, we have the right to look through any of those cabinets.
So
Refrigerator.
if you store your white wine in the refrigerator
for nap time.
for nap time.
You store what?
Your white wine.
Oh.
And she said for nap time,
example.
I didn't say, I just repeated.
So you wanna hear a funny thing?
Oh, we have funny things too.
Oh, yeah, I
about
had, when I had my rating, I had just gone to the grocery store, my husbine drinks non-alcoholic bush beer, and I had left a 12-pack on the floor. So when I got my rating back, it said alcohol available to children.
Doesn't that sound lovely when it's phrased that way?
Alcohol
just like,
available.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if I read that rating, that person would not be who I'd go to.
If they put child locks on the kitchen cupboards, does that count?
Yeah,
If
but then
we, if it's child-proof, if it's child-proof,
any of those locks. Yeah, but we see things, tobacco products or alcohol products or firearms, different things that may
But
be.
firearms,
Really?
licensing should.
Sure, I'm not saying that they should be there. I'm just saying that there's a whole bunch of things that are licensing things, but sometimes you do see them. Hopefully you don't see them very often, but.
They're either the really best places or really worse. There's just no in between there.
And a question about access to the kitchen, so if they have like a gate and the kids aren't allowed on the other side of the gate, that's acceptable?
so here's what I usually see. I see that nice gate, the provider's going to cook lunch, Mary's having a meltdown because it's lunchtime. I'm just gonna pick her up and she's gonna go in and cook with me.
Yeah.
Right,
And the kids have access to the kitchen.
right.
So
Is
her
that the
nice
same
little
like at the
gate
desk?
and her other 10 hours and 20 minutes of the day, the kids aren't in there, but she just took that child in there.
Yeah.
So then you gotta look through everything.
And you have things like magnets on the fridge or
The knives in the holder, the butcher
Right.
block.
whiteout or whatever on your counter. I mean, you keep things in your
Choke
kitchen.
holes.
Go home and look in your kitchen and be like, oh, I didn't realize I left all that stuff there. So, that's why I don't do home care.
But you're right, that is the best practice. If the gate's up and if the kids truly don't go in there, then
Right.
I wouldn't go in there to look through their items.
Okay.
That's fine.
But
Licensing will though, just
Well,
saying.
I'm just gonna say, but I don't know what they're gonna do.
Right.
But,
How are you in the kitchen cooking and your kids are in a different room?
yeah,
Mhm.
well, how else do they get it done?
How are they gonna cook?
I have one to prepared ahead of time, so it's ready to go,
Right.
but.
But
And
you
lots of
still-
kids
Just
do
the
that,
microwave to
but-
heat it up.
Can an infant, a non-mobile infant be in the kitchen if it's
They're still a child.
Well,
Keep out of reach, children.
So even if the
a
non-mobile's in a high chair waiting while you're cooking.
reach it?
Well, and the
For much of
problem
the day?
is you're gonna put them in the high chair while you cook, and then we're gonna say, why are they in a containment device? For how long? How long are they in that containment device? Doing what?
So how long can they be?
Well, they could be playing with something.
They could be,
Maybe,
they could be.
it's possible.
The main
Depends on how long
goal
it
is
takes you to cook lunch.
every 10 minutes they need to be switching around.
But then still, the children are in the kitchen, so then you have the right to look through the cabinets and the fridge. And, you know, some
Fridge.
people keep medicine in the fridge,
Lot
and
of
if it's not
medicine.
locked, then it gets marked.
And what about Ziploc bags in the fridge, correct?
Yep. Yep.
And, you know, full-size fridge, so it's easy for kids to,
So what
Open.
about Ziploc bags that the parents put in the children's backpack? Because it's got,
whatever, they can't do that. Tell them no.
they can't. But no Ziploc.
You're really not supposed to.
Yeah.
Or-
The likelihood, we know the reality, but the boxes say keep out of reach of children, and they're supposed to be kept out of reach, so.
You know, at the end of the day, you have to just draw a line somewhere and say, okay, this is where the line is, and this is how it's scored, and then you're gonna make your decisions based on that, but the scoring remains the same throughout, so it's consistent for everybody.
How about the trash bags that are in kitchen trash bins that are not,
Like the one that's being used for the trash.
yeah.
So that would be more for supervision, if you have your kids that are like pulling on the plastic or something like that, and the provider's not aware, but generally that isn't a concern. Yes, lots of safety things in the home. It also considers things outside on the playground, fence height. We look to see if they have a family pet, that they're picking up the pet's remains after they go to the bathroom.
Animal feces, one.
That can be marked under health practices, we
But-
can find those out there.
Animals are live things, so you get to count those.
For science.
What if each animals are kept in
Uh-huh.
each animal?
Each animal
What
is
if the
a
animals are
live
not
item.
kept with the kids at all? They're-
They probably can't count
Then you probably
them.
can't count them, but generally,
Do husbands count?
Depends on what they're doing. Could be good or could be bad.
What about if, the door from the house to the garage, does it need a child-proof lock on it?
It should be locked,
It should be locked,
if the children have access to the one room.
okay?
yeah, because what's in your garage?
Yeah.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Same with if you go outside and there's access to the garage or a shed.
Or a shed.
Mhm,
Usually that's where we see safety items.
mhm.
If you have a grill, you shouldn't keep your propane accessible to the children.
That's licensing too.
Mhm.
I just saw a grill at a center.
I know, at a center.
It's a community center, so I'm like, I'm sure they do community things, so I'm looking in there, I'm like, there's no propane tank under there. Something I wouldn't usually have to look for an Eckers, but anyways.
Exactly. Never know what you'll see, be prepared. Be prepared.
So the listening and talking, basically we want to see lots of opportunities with the children, the provider encouraging your older children to work with the younger children. We want to see many opportunities of the provider engaging in play with the children with fine motor, that needs to be observed at least twice. Provider encouraging children to like read at their own ability level, different things along those lines.
And this is gonna count for each age group.
Right. So then, yes, as we're getting into the activities and you're looking, let's say, at fine motor, it says right there, many that vary for infants and toddlers, so those you can lump together.
Tell me what it means.
And then for school agers and preschoolers, so.
It means something different. So if you look on a score sheet, you'll see that there are areas for you to write those things down so that you can keep track. Do I have 3 to 5 of this? Do I have 3 to 5 of this? Do I have my infant and toddler items written down here? Do I have as many as I need, 10 different things for them. So those score sheets are set up to help you keep track of that.
Do you guys have a worksheet that, I was gonna make one at one point, actually last week, based on this, of, as a coach, like interactions they can work on, like every day add a math interaction, every day add an art interaction. Is there actually any time that there's a interaction that you're observing in any of these activities? Is there like a a hint list like this that I could give providers so that they can start to practice, okay, I'm gonna do this today, I'm gonna do that today?
We would rather it be not so regimented, but be a part of their everyday, ongoing things, to talk about everyday math or everyday science.